Hello, and welcome to the first module of MeetManager training. I am Sam Scott. I'm a USA Swimming referee and have been a meet director as well as created and run many meets over the past several years using MeetManager. To get the best results from the training, you'll need a computer, laptop or desktop, running Windows and MeetManager 6 installed, and a copy of the meet information for the meet you're going to run with the events and sessions listed. When you finish this block of training, you'll be able to create a meet, verify or change seating preferences for the meet, set entry limits, and verify or change the scoring point system for the meet. Let's begin by starting MeetManager. If you have any previous meets on your system, then MeetManager will automatically load the last meet you had open. After MeetManager loads, what we're going to do is click on the File and go to Open New, and down in the file name we need to create a name for our meet. Let's just call this MM Training Meet and say Open. And yes, we're going to click on OK because we want to run this as admin, and we're into the meet setup. Now, the asterisk items, the fields in this window, are required. And so let's call this one MeetManager Training Meet. And for a facility name, I'm going to call it the Dick Hanula Pool. And I'm not going to put an address in there because those addresses, they aren't required, but if you're setting up your meet, you would want to put the address in there where your meet's going to take place. Tacoma, for me it's going to be Washington since I'm in the Pacific Northwest. Washington. And the post code on it's 98406. And you'll have some kind of sanction number. I'm going to say mine's 1701-XXXX. Now, some important things here is when's the meet going to start? And for me, let's just say that we're going to start this meet in December, and I need to look at the calendar. So I'm going to just say the 15th in 2017. And then the end date would be like 12/16/2017. The age up date should be the same date as the start date of the meet. And your entry open date, that's going to depend on your LSC and whether it's short course or long course. But let's just say that the entries are available to be submitted by 10/15/17, with the deadline being 12/1/17. Now we need to check on the ID format. It's going to be a USA Swimming meet, since we're not in New Zealand or South Africa. We need a host LSC. And since once again I'm in the Pacific Northwest, so I'm going to choose Pacific Northwest. Base country is USA. The pool is, for all intents and purposes, not at altitude, so the altitude in feet really won't make any difference. It's an age group meet, but you can see you can choose different kinds, whether it's a senior meet, a high school meet, a college meet, a master's meet, but I'm going to choose age group. It's going to be a standard meet, and it's going to be a standard meet. Now, in the meet style, you can see you have some options here. For instance, if you were creating a meet for a high school and it's one of their league meets, it might be a two-team dual meet, or if it's a college meet, it could be a two-team dual meet. We need to know what course. We're going to make it yards, which means 25 yards, so it's a short course yards code. DQ codes, we'll use the current USA Swimming DQ codes, and the timing adjustment we'll do by the current FINA timing adjustment method, which is what's in the current USA Swimming rulebook. We get this far, we just click on OK. And now we get some prompts about Meet Mobile, which I'm going to say I don't really want to deal with at this time. Now, the next thing we want to do is we need to go to Setup And let's look down here at the seating preferences. Now within seating preferences you have a number of choices. Are you going to allow foreign athletes in the championship final? If this is a time finals meet, we don't really have to worry about these, but these parameters, it's useful to know about them if you're ever creating a prelims finals meet. What's our course of order in terms of seating for non-standard times? If someone doesn't have a time for a 200 breaststroke in yards, but they have it in meters, can they still enter? Well, yes. It's just that they're going to be seated based on times first in yards, then in long course meters, then in short course meters. If you look at some of the other tabs, for instance, if you're running a dual meet, you'd already have to have the teams in there. Then you would assign teams like Team A to lanes 1, 3, and 5, Team B to 2, 4, and 6, and a 6-lane pool, and so forth. But here we go. So if we're happy with our seating preferences, time finals, standard seating, click OK. Next thing we need to look at in setup is to go down to, let's see, scoring preferences. Now, probably the most important thing for us today is this second tab that says entries and entry limits. There's a few things that we want to look at. For instance, if your meet is a meet where you don't want to allow any NT entries, you'd want to check the box exclude NT entries. If you're going to allow entry NTs, no times, and leave it unchecked. You can also set a minimum age for events that you mark as open. Could be 11, 12, 13, whatever you want to choose. You'd have to look at your meet information on that. And here, entries must have been performed on or after. Typically, we set a date here if you have time standards in the meet, and let's say the meet's in December of this coming year, so we might say that the time standard needed to be achieved by 1 January of 2017. Now, in this area in entry limits is where, once again on the meet information, how many individual entries can a athlete have? If you have a 2-day meet and it's broken up by ages, that the swimmer swims one session on a Saturday and one on Sunday, you might say that they have 4 per day, so they have maximum of 8 entries. And perhaps they can enter into a maximum of 2 relays for the entire meet, which would be a total of 10. We're not going to count time trials because time trials we usually have when we have a prelims finals meet. And we'll just click on OK. Now, the next thing to look at in our meet setup is scoring. So we clicked on setup, mouse down to the scoring setup, and then move over to standard. By default, MeetManager sets up individual relay points by place out to 16 places. And you can see that for individuals it goes 20, 17, 16, and 15, so forth down to 1 point for place 16. Double the points for relays. Once again, depending on your meet you want to run, maybe you're only going to want to score the top 6 or the top 12. Or I've had college meets where they have custom point systems and they're only scoring the top 3s. So this is the default, and if it's okay for your meet, you can just click on OK. So now we have the meet created. We've checked our seating preferences and some of the other setup things. So at this point in time, what we'd really want to do, and this is something you should do often, is do a backup. Do a backup. Backups are automatically stored in the Swim Meets 6 folder on your C drive. My recommendation is to do a backup every time you've made some kind of significant change. Like we have the meet set up, we'll do a backup. And then after the backup, you add more things in, like you add some entries, or in this case, the next module will be creating events for the meet. Once you get the events created, I do a backup. After I get things in sessions, I do a backup. We start accepting entries into the meet. you import them into the Meet, I would be doing backups. So you build up kind of quite a file of backup files. Now they're all going to be on the C drive in the SwimMeet 6 folder. So what you should do as a matter of practice is copy that SwimMeet 6 folder off onto a USB thumb drive. That's because if your laptop or your desktop has a malfunction or it breaks, you'll have your entire Meet on a thumb drive, which you could then plug into any other computer running Windows with MeetManager 6 on it, copy the contents of your SwimMeet 6 folder onto that system's hard drive, and you're back in business with little or no time lost. So that's where we are today. The next session, next module, we will be adding events, creating sessions, and then creating the export file for events so someone can import it either into Team Unify or into Team Manager so they can create entries for their club's teams. That's all for now. Bye.